One thing I wanted to go over as a good example to pay attention to in yourself is that there are many reasons for any action. I'll give you an example of my own and then I'll give a hypothetical. So, for instance, when I was a young kid, this was before I went to Texas, this is when I was in Westford. My mother brought me to one of her friends' houses. There was a couch on one side of the room near the windows. The TV was against the wall. I think later there might have been puppies born there, and I got to see them, but this was a much different time, much later. But anyways, this house had a kid about my age that was, I guess, one of Patricia, my mother's friend's son. Anyways, so I was brought over there for a play date. That's the shortest way to say it, a play date. And my mother came out very nicely with 2 cookies on a big cooking tray. I could see into the kitchen. There was no other cookies, nothing. Oh, whatever, no big deal. I go to grab a cookie on the plate. Well, it's not a plate, it's a tray. It's a metal cooking tray, but I'm going to call it a plate or a tray. I might switch it. I sometimes have to switch words there, but it's a metal tray. And I go to grab a cookie. There's only 2 there. She tells me, no. Now her expression changes. She looks nervous, very upset, and tells me to take the other cookie. I take the other cookie, and I go to sit down. The kid takes the cookie that I was going to take and sits down. The mom goes to clean up, and the kid asks me, why couldn't I have that cookie, and why did you have to have that cookie? All confused. And I just said, probably had a pill in it and ate the cookie. Now, as an adult, I realized that was probably the case. My mother probably did put a pill in that cookie. But the reason why I thought that at that time is multiple. One reason is that in some of the hospitals, or I should say institutions that I was in, going through foster care when I was young, they would open up capsules, put them in applesauce, show it to me and make me eat it. But there was also the fact that my mother was doing awful things with pills as well. There was the overdose in Westford like 2 years prior to this, or a year prior to this. There was the Epicac giving me extra. There was a lot of phone calls and arguments with doctors. There was teachers being very concerned throughout the years. They got more concerned over time when I came back to Chelmsford, and I went to school in Worcester. Worcester was extremely worried about some of my mother's behaviors and those notes, but nothing ever came of it. But anyways, because of some of what happened in Westford when I was like 5, 6 years old, I don't have an exact age. As I get more head injuries, it's harder to pinpoint a date. It's not like I have a calendar for those things. But anyways, so those are multiple reasons. They're both very valid reasons why somebody would subconsciously give a very quick answer to a friend, especially children, because children don't double, triple think. As an adult, I put something through my brain in a loop sometimes before I can give an answer if it's important. If a police officer is asking me questions about something that happened down the street, I'm going to run those questions through my head at least twice before I answer. But as children don't do that. So I just gave a quick, at-heart answer that was just from the heart. I didn't even think about it. It was just the most likely answer I could come up with and just came out. As a child, that's all I did. I didn't double, triple bring things through my brain. No, I had too many things. I was always like thinking of 3 things at once trying to go through. I couldn't run all of them through. Now I still do have multiple things going on in my brain where I'm able to keep on track with the normal thought process but have side tracks as well and stay on subject. But sometimes I got to control that to make sure I don't get off subject. Like right now, the subject happens to be the multiple reasons why you might do something, how there isn't just one reason for anything. I'll give you another example. Why do you drive a car? If somebody comes up to you and asks, why do you drive a car? You could say, because I get to work in it. But that wouldn't exactly be true, would it? It's because you need transportation, but that wouldn't be true either, would it? You need it To get to work, to get food, to get belongings. You need it because it's cheaper than the public transportation and the taxis. You need it because it's easier than any other form of transportation. You need it because it's private. There's many reasons why you would drive, and any of them are valid. And you always got to keep that in mind, because I've heard some idiots where somebody will give one valid reason for something, and then a couple days later they'll give another valid reason and another valid reason. And then some idiot will come out of the woodworks and be like, "You're lying because you said you had a different reason yesterday." And then the person out here go, "Oh, no, 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 they're both very good reasons, and I did it for both." And I understand this because I've done it myself. I've heard this in many situations. There's a bunch of people ready to jump down others' throats. It's mostly because of kicks. There's a lot of people out there that get real kicks out of putting other people down, and they're ready to jump. So any misunderstanding or too complicated subject or anything that takes a little bit of thought, these people won't understand, and they'll just jump. And the other problem is, in society, you've got bandwagons. You've got people willing to jump on. We got one negative person who says something, and then you got 5 other people jumping on board. So you get a lot of this in society. And what you really got to think about is what could be happening in that situation that might cause that. I mean, if somebody asks you a simple question like, why do you drive a car? There's multiple reasons. There's multiple answers to that question. And a lot of times you're not going to get every single part of that done right there. You're not going to have that whole hour conversation about why you drive a car. You're going to spit out, I drive it for work, to get home for my kids, to get supper, to get food, whatever. I drive it because I need it to get to work. I drive it because it's convenient, and I drive it because it makes my life easier. I don't know how anybody survives without a car, you would probably say, or something like that. But there would be always more reasons than that, and they're all valid. And a lot of people do not realize this. They do not realize that there are multiple reasons for any action that a person takes. There's usually more than one. Like, why do you eat breakfast, or why did you eat supper last night? Because it was 6 o'clock and it was time to eat supper? Because it was nutritious and it'll give you strength? Because if you don't, you'll feel weak the next day? Because it smelled good? Because it tasted good? All those are valid reasons. And if you name any 2 of those, and then you name another 2 later, that doesn't make either statement untrue. But some people do not realize this, and they go into fantasy land, and they start making up narratives. And I see it quite a lot, actually, from some of my, like my mother, my father, and his 3rd wife. I see it there, but that's not even the biggest deal. I see it from so many just random people that are negative. It comes from people that have that negative space. Mostly my mother and his 3rd wife. My father stays away from it most of the time, what's fantastic. He's a very wise man. I gotta say, he did a lot for me. I just wish he could think things through a little more and be more aware of of actions other than mine. He's very good at pointing out my misgivings, so there's no failure there. He's not blind to anything I'm doing. But there is a lot of wife blindness that ends up hurting me. But anyways, this is what this is about, to try to kind of think about. These are examples of co-workers and people I've come across. But I've seen it in homeless communities. I've even seen doctors who love being negative. Doctors that are supposed to help people, some of them just love being negative. I watched the doctor scream and try to have a fist fight with another patient while I was at Bridge something. I think it was Bridge something. It was near Lynn. Anyways, the doctor came out. The kid couldn't go to group because he was nauseous. I don't know why. The kid said, I'm going to my room because I'm nauseous. The doctor ended up coming out and saying something about his addiction or whatever. Then the kid said something about the doctor being an addict himself, and then the doctor got in the kid's face and wanted to fist fight him. Then the kid said he wasn't worth it and walked away. I was like, this is the most backward shit I ever saw. I mean, usually it's the patient that gets angry or causes issues. I mean, nothing happened, but the fact that the doctor was willing to come across and get in the kid's face and then try to fist fight him, that's inappropriate behavior. These people are going, that you're calling them mentally ill and then you're doing that to them, or you're saying that they're addicts and then you're doing that to them. I'm starting to think that this might be some form of a scam to get repeat business. I mean, if the auto industry and the repair industry can have scams to get repeat business, I don't see why doctors couldn't have scams to get repeat business. I mean, every other industry has scams and loopholes and ways of doing that. Why have I not heard of their scams? And how about Big Pharma? You're telling me that they haven't tried to scam in some way by maybe taking an ingredient out of one of their pills and replacing it? Of course they have. So there's a lot of this going on, and we need to unite. We need to work together, and we need to fix our country, because right now we're the broken states of America, and we need to unite, and we need to take our country back. We need to build a good country that we can work hard and we can live okay. We don't have to get sick and die because of other people's choices. There's no reason why, at me 7 years old, actually we'll start, why me at 4 years old should be given double medicines until I feel crappy. There should be no reason why I'm put in a system where a foster mother is allowed to give me a whole cocktail of pills and then not bring me to the emergency room. There was somebody supposed to be in charge. If you're going to take me from my mother, then you're taking responsibility for that child. And if something happens to that child, I don't understand how you can then turn your back after you're the one who created it. If it was my mother, then there'll be nobody to blame. But the state put this in forward. And I never even knew this family until then. And I ended up giving everything to this family. And I still love that father. I still love this family. And I have not been given anything back. Not in education, not my health, nothing. And I believe that the state of Massachusetts can do better. And this is why we need to start working together as a community instead of fighting one another. I keep on hearing how divided we are, how divided we are. What are we, the divided states of America, or are we the United States of America? It's time to decide what you want to be.